to see you.
Great to see you.
I love your sweater. I wish I had a cool sweater. I do have a cool sweater, but it's at home.
You look great.
I look like I'm freezing, which I am.
I'm freezing
Some
too.
guy, so I came out of the office and the guy goes, "Isn't that cold out?" I'm like, he's like, "No, it's not cold. Why are you wearing that?" It's like May. Why isn't it warmer?
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you state your name and what party you're running for me?
Yes, I'm Helen Gim. I'm the Democratic candidate for mayor of Philadelphia. Nice to meet you, Jade.
Nice to meet you. Okay, and how did you decide that you wanted to run for mayor?
I think that it wasn't so much of a decision. I ran for city council after a former administration had closed down 30 public schools and had slashed funding for like libraries, recreation centers, after school programs. And I decided to run for city council because I didn't feel like our city could actually grow if we did things like that. I ran not just to be on city council. I ran to test the waters about whether somebody who came in with a lot of movement organizing, a lot of policy work had done in government could really make a significant amount of change in a short period of time. And the answer was yes. The answer was we could actually reverse a decline around how we fund schools and actually give nurses and counselors and safe drinking water and arts and music to every school child. The answer was yes, that we didn't have to have a city that evicted 22,000 households, maybe 100,000 people every single year. And we could actually create the most successful eviction prevention program in the country and keep people housed. And the answer was yes, that we could do something about fair labor rights and union organizing in the last state in this region that has like the lowest minimum wage, the bottom level that you can have in this country. So I ran for mayor because I am running for mayor because I feel strongly that Philadelphia needs a leader who isn't going to sit on the sidelines and hasn't. Someone who hasn't played it safe all her life. And right now, I think the city needs a transformation and other people are running for office. I'm actually trying to change the way people live in the city. So I'm running for a big view of investing in communities and in people to turn around our safety issues, to turn around our poverty issues, to turn around our education issues. And I think that when we do that, we'll start treating Philadelphia like it's home and we're all family and nobody gets left behind.
Nice. So you touched on it a little bit, but can you explain a bit more about your plans for education?
Yeah, I am here to finish a job I started almost 30 years ago when I was a teacher teaching in Olney in a 100-year-old building with like 35 plus, sometimes up to 38, 39 kids in a classroom. I knew back then that our young people deserve so much more, and over many decades, I've tried to figure out how to deliver that. I'm going to be the first mayor in recent history that won't turn my back on the schools or fail to fulfill their promise. I've been thinking about this for a very long time. I believe that the city and school district need to come together to lift up our young people. We need to do it to modernize school buildings. We need to make sure that every school is a community school, meaning that they are open with after-school programs and summer camps to make sure that we're providing pre-K and free community college, to make sure that we are, delivering on a safety mission so that safe passageways to and from school. Then absolutely I want to turn around the classroom. I feel very strongly that I can do all of those things, but if teachers don't feel like staying and children don't feel like they're learning, we're going to have the problems that we've got. Last year, 4,000 kids dropped out of school. 3,600 kids have dropped out of school since September of this year. We can't have a city that's going to grow when those things happen. So I am absolutely leaning in on having a robust effort to staff our schools fully, to make sure that there are enrichment programs that are provided, to focus in on mental health and well-being, not just therapy and all of that, but like a sense of well-being for young people, to bring back the arts and music, internships and other opportunities that I think will keep young people in schools and make their parents and family members hopeful that the city will invest in them.
Thanks. So, as you know, gun violence is a prevalent problem within the city, and its youth is greatly affected by it. So, do you have plans to address this problem?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've talked, I want to talk very quickly about, the importance of having a coordinated approach that isn't just solely focused in on policing and reacting to crime. It's really focused in on preventing crime. So there are two things. One, I've talked about declaring gun violence a public health emergency, coordinating all of our different city agencies, plus like SEPTA, our housing authority, our school district, all levels of law enforcement, uh, but also, all these different supportive agencies to really come together to talk about what it means to build safe communities. I've been very clear that I would focus primarily on solving crimes, so I want to promote more detectives to relieve caseloads. I've talked about fixing 911 response times and a lot of support for victims and survivors of violence. But my main investment around safety is really about the stuff we do on the front end. I've talked a lot about how mental health response times are really important for us. So I helped start the first non-police mental mobile health crisis unit, so to go out to respond to 911 calls that would be better handled by social workers and others, and allow police to focus on the violent crimes that they want people to focus in on, or that people want them to focus in on. I've talked about a guaranteed jobs program for young people, and especially for young adults who are returning from carceral systems, to give them not a promise of job fairs or tell you to apply to this and that, but to actually provide a subsidized jobs and personal development program that they can call, that they can feel like is investing in them. This is critically important because I think a lot of young people are both vulnerable to and part of or in the path of violence right now. And, I've got to be able to give them an opportunity that they feel is compelling and worthwhile and is invested. It's allowing them to fulfill their potential. I believe that we can use neighborhood investments, particularly around cleaning and brightening up streets, taking on illegal dumping, and taking care of vacant lots that are sort of, feelings of a lack of safety. Like you can feel it as soon as you open up the door and you see a street that's clean and brightly lit versus one that's dark and full of trash and doesn't feel like it's being cared for. So I'm going to lean in on all of that. And then finally, I have a very focused look at young people, wherever they may be. So I'm trying to open up every single civic space. So many young people are being hurt before 6 p.m. That's partly why I've leaned into the Every School Community School, making sure after school programs that keep young people in safe and nurturing places, as many of them as we can. I have a big focus on our transit lines because I want young people to feel safe traveling through the city, and I don't think many of them do. So we need a real attention to 9 a.m. 3 to 6 p.m. hours when a lot of young people are moving through the city, and helping them get to places where they not only feel safe and looked out for, but also give them a lot of chances to shine and be young.
Nice. So, as mayor, do you have any plans on involving youth in the decision-making process?
So I will say that a lot of my work,
Mm-hmm.
before I ever, ran for mayor and before I even got onto city council, put young people at the center. It was young people who helped lead the Safe Drinking Water campaign for our schools that ended up delivering safe, clean drinking water to every single school, and then started a Healthy Schools initiative that's gone on to invest in air conditioning and lead, asbestos, and mold removal. It was young people who are at the forefront of the effort to win the first budget line item to go towards youth homelessness, that helped open up new spaces for young people, new beds and other action teams that have focused more on youth and youth homelessness. And it was young people who helped turn around a juvenile justice system that was putting young people into abusive placements far away. And together we've been trying to figure out ways to hold those institutions better accountable, but also create new places that are safer, closer to home. or invest on the front end in families so we don't actually take young people away. Because young people have been at the heart of my work, I see them as being part of my work going forward. There's no way I'm doing a schools initiative without talking to young people, because I'm trying to get young people back into school. So I can't have them, like me, create the idea only. I need to talk to a lot of these young people about the things that we can create. For kids who've dropped out, they may not want, I'm gonna pull as many of them back into school, I hope, as I can, but some of them may have been disconnected from schools that don't feel like they're nurturing entirely. So we need to talk to a lot of young people to decide what programs would they come into. Would it be a twilight program? Would it be like a work, professional development, schools kind of combination? Do I need to create it? Are there programs that are out there that they feel like they could be part of? When I talk about the Guaranteed Jobs program for young people, I'm looking heavily at our summer youth employment program, where only 50% of the kids who apply for a job actually get one. So I'm going to spend a lot of time talking to young people. How do I get to 100%? I think I do that by placing people in schools, making sure that they navigate through the process, they get vital documents, that they get free SEPTA passes so that they can, get back and forth from place to place. But those are the things I need to talk to young people about. And if I want to be successful, I want to make sure that they're absolutely in the leadership and part of this program.
Nice. So, what are some powerful transformative books that you would recommend young people read to help them along the process?
Transformative books?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so many. I mean, obviously, I spend a lot of time looking at how people and things change and transform. I love, obviously, inspirational stories, and especially those that are done by young people, and young people can pick whichever ones they want. If they think that I'm Malala, is one, or the book by the climate activist Greta Thunberg has resonance for them, I would certainly encourage that. But I also hope that I hope young people, I mean, obviously I spend a lot of time on, with books by Ursula K. Le Guin and, sci-fi, because like the world that we've got doesn't exist yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope young people really love sci-fi. Like that was the thing that I really loved, because it was an Afrofuturism and things that imagine a world that isn't already here, that's also hopeful and not just dystopian nightmares, because there's a lot of sci-fi that's just about dystopian nightmares, and those are terrible. We don't want that. But books that are like transformative and see the future in hopeful and really powerful ways, a world in which people assume and step into powers that aren't recognized or here, to me is like at the heart of what, I believe like imagining a new world should be about. So I read a lot of nonfiction, but we try to like make room for joyful alternatives.
Nice. And what would you say to get young people to vote for you?
Well, what I would tell young people right now is that Philadelphia does need a transformation, and there are a lot of people who are running for office who've mostly played it safe all their lives, that they've held offices for a very long time or been in bureaucracies, or they've made money hand over fist. I am somebody who's unusual. I've been a longtime advocate. I spent time in communities that often were not in the front seats or had access to a lot of power. But we made change in the city nonetheless. When immigrant communities stopped to fight displacement, when young people made sure that their schools would be responsive to them and where they wouldn't be bullied and harassed, and where parents and educators and advocates demanded that a school system actually meet their needs, support them, and not be shut down over toxic schools or defunded and absence of librarians and counselors and social workers. Those were the communities and groups and movements that I've been part of. And because of that, I see government in a totally different way. I don't see government as just being stuck in the second floor of City Hall, writing commands and saying, I'm going to fix it. I see a mayor who is going to excite people on the ground, who's going to be with people, who's going to be an on-the-ground mayor, a hands-on mayor, who's going to be engaged and active and visible, helping excite people's opportunities and potential to make this feel like home. And I've done that all my life. I hope that young people can get some hope from that I think that I have a big vision, bigger than anybody else. I talked about a really big Green New Deal to really fix our schools, to invest in housing. I've talked about a climate plan that actually not only puts more trees and uh, green spaces in neighborhoods, but actually leads a green economy that can bring solar energy so we can lower utility bills in Black and brown neighborhoods. So we can ensure that that the homes that people live in are actually the first in line to be the healthiest, lead-free, clean, safe drinking water homes in the city. And I have a big arts agenda, a transformational arts agenda where, the vitality and life and beauty and joy of the city should shine through our arts. And I hope that a lot of young people feel hope from that. I'm trying to hang on to every person who is, I don't care how old you are, 8 or 18 years old. I want this city to feel like home and the best place in the country to build your future.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You got it all?
They're like, oh, we didn't take. Do it again.
He's so concerning. Okay.
I know your faces are so serious. You're like, you got it all right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't do anything.